ko lang rated meta, walang yata pumansin masyado. Alam mo, bias talaga kayo. Sinabi ko lang rated meta, nawala na kayo. Ayan, medyo pag-usapan natin a number of new developments. Of course, yung iba sa inyo, I'm sure napanood nyo yung Rated K, yung television version, kung saan na-interview yung no-show. My cooking show, whatever. Na-interview si Bongbong Marcos dyan. And of course, na-interview din yung ibang candidates. So, meron din presidential series na one-on-one. Si Corina Sanchez. And she has her different approach, no? Medyo posh yung dating and all, forma, ganun. Anyways, iba yung approach niya, no? From Tito Boy and of course from Jessica So and others. And nagpakita yung top 5 candidates. Again, mukhang wala si Calyodi there, but it was good to see Calyodi at least dun sa presidential forum. Now, pag-usapan natin shortly also this issue, in addition to yung new study na lumabas from Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, kung saan pinapakita na may mukhang isang kandidato ay gumastos po ng 1 billion almost, lampas sa 900 million pesos sa TV advertisements, sa billboards, sa traditional, traditional media advertisement lang to. Hindi pa to yung mga social media, yung mga nakikita natin, no? Almost 1 billion po ang ginastos at hindi pa nagsimula yung formal campaign. So, pre-formal campaign pa lang, nakagastos ng 1 billion. At alam natin, yung ibang candidates, medyo malaki din ang ginastos, no? So, mukhang around 700 million daw dun sa kay Yorme, around 500 million daw kay LENI, more than 300 million kay BBM, although si BBM daw gumastos ng marami nung December, kung kailan din nagkaroon siya ng big bump sa timing nila, malakas. Again, of course, na-contest yung numbers niya. I think Senator LACSON has contested the numbers and the methodology of PCIJ. Pero mukhang si PACQUIAO yung pinaka-hindi gumastos, no? So, I know maraming tao nag-isip, si PACQUIAO na imigay ng pera yan, ganyan. But apparently, hindi siya gumastos ng malaki at all. I think 1.7 million or something like that ang ginastos niya. So, barely, barely 3% ng ginastos nung number 1, no? So, billion almost ang ginastos base sa report ng PCIJ. But of course, let's give benefit of the doubt to discussions about whether valid yung methodology for the calculation. But I know that Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism, solid po sila. They know what they're doing. They know how they calculate this stuff. But nonetheless, for me, medyo shocker ako. 1 billion, di pa nagsimula, yan ang ginagastos. So, I don't know, for me, that raises big questions, no, about our election process itself. I mean, kung ang mga politiko may sa tingin nila kailangan nila gumastos ng ganong kalaki pre-formal election pa lang, you know, what does that say about election financing? No, again, this is not prejudicial to any party. I'm just saying this in general. I think we really need an electoral finance reform agenda. At hindi sana pwede iuwi mo na lang yung may natira dun sa campaign mo. Hindi parang business na yan. Panalo, hindi panalo, or nanalo, pwede mo iuwi yung mga campaign donation. Nako po, hindi dapat pwede yan. I think in the US, for instance, they have a rule na dapat dun sa campaign lang mismo, no? At hindi pwede ibulsa lang ng mga kandidato. But of course, yung batas natin so far is quite lenient sa issue na yan. Now, puntahan natin yung Rated K ni Corina Sanchez kasi medyo interesting yan. Now, bago tayo pupunta kay BBM kasi yun yung pinakanakita kong extensive. Although, kung subscribe kayo, nakasubscribe po kayo dun sa channel ni... nagpo-promote ako kunyari. Kay Corina Sanchez, Rated K, I think yung title ng kanyang YouTube channel, lalabas po yung full, no? But yung editor's cut, lalabas lahat yan. So, makikita niyo yung extended version. Kasi, medyo short po yung version na lumabas dyan sa television. Unahin muna natin si LENI, no? Kasi, interesting yung kay LENI is because, tinanong sa kanya about the fact that she's the only female candidate dito sa race na yan. And that's quite an interesting thing, di ba? I mean, parang... purong lalaki, no? At saka minsan yung mga panel na nagtatanong sa kanya, purong lalaki rin, no? So whether misogyny is playing a role, na yung mga nagda-down sa kanya, dismissive sa kanya, including may mga babaeng politician na sinasabi housewife level lang siya, although graduate naman ng dalawang pero yung isa hindi nag... But anyways, gets nyo? Sino yun? Anyways, parang ang point kasi dyan is, you know, LENI claims or she argues that indeed misogyny may have played a role in terms of some of the attacks against her, no? Especially in a male-dominated society and especially male-dominated race na kanito. So medyo forceful yung sagot niya. At pansin natin, no, since yung presidential forum, At since yung last part, yung fast talk part with Tito Boy, biglang nag-level up yung fire level, no? Yung fuego ni LENI, no? Nakita talaga natin na mas assertive yung language, more passionate. Something that perhaps many people are saying, sana we saw earlier, right? But, better late than never, right? As some would say. So, nakikita natin ngayon na more assertive, more, some would even say, passionate, fiery si LENI. At dito, nung tinanong sa kanya ni Corina Sanchez, is there potentially misogynist potential playing role? No, sinagot niya kaagad, no? Doon naman tayo kay Manny Pacquiao. Kasi tinanong sa kanya right off the bat. And I think this is a very interesting issue. This is a very important issue. Tinanong sa kanya, anong masasabi mo doon sa fact na your educational background may not be at par with some of the other candidates or with most of the presidents we have had, because most of the presidents we have had have graduate degrees at least, no, or they were lawyers. Although there were some na walang graduate degrees, but a lot of them were highly educated. So of course yung standard na sagot ni Pacquiao, anong ambag nila, di ba? Na parang saan tayo umabot? Nag-aral-aral, saan naman tayo umabot? Ang think ko lang naman dyan is, of course, I agree with Senator Pacquiao that your educational attainments per se should not should not be the sole basis for assessing whether magiging magaling kang leader. Alam natin sa kasaysayan, marami dyan na naging great leaders without necessarily coming from elite educational backgrounds. At not to mention, sa isang bansa kung saan hindi po may pagkakulang sa hustisya pagdating sa access sa higher education, unfair naman na you put that undue burden. Kasi totoo yan, in Turkey, in a number of other countries, kailangan mo ng college graduation. You have to be a graduate of college. Hindi yung attend lang diploma. Talagang graduate ka dapat sana bago ka pwedeng tumakbo, no? So there was actually a controversy about President Erdogan of Turkey na yung kanyang graduation niya from some university was a little bit questionable daw. Naging big issue yan sa Turkey. But anyway, my thing is this, agree ako with Senator Pacquiao na yes, hindi dapat naman discriminate tao dahil hindi naman tayo lahat may equal access to higher education. Now, ibang usapan yung pinag-aral ka na sa pinakamahal na mga eskwela sa mundo at hindi ka pa rin nakapagtapos, ay ibang usapan yan. Ang issue kasi dito yung iba, wala talagang kakayahan, no? Financial capacity, etc. or access to scholarship to have that higher education. So, unfair to impose that kind of standard in a very unequal society. Agree ako dyan. At the same time, I do not agree na hindi kailangan na matalino ang presidente mo. As I always say, you need both a calculating mind and a passionate heart. At siguro naging problema natin in the past is that kulang, kapos. Either one lang meron. So we have had populist leaders, very populist leaders na medyo may puso, or at least daw, but bara-bara mag-isip. Palpak din ng labas. Meron din tayong mga leaders na magandang education level, nag-aral abroad, etc. Pero ang tanong, yung puso, committed pa sa bansa, meron bang malasakit, ay doon tayo nagkakaroon ng issue. So you have to have both. So ang point dyan is, having proper training, education, managerial skills is necessary but not sufficient. Because kailangan din ng character, resilience, moral compass, walang moral turpitude, di ba? Yung mga bagay na gano'n, di ba? So you need both. So hindi ako agree dun sa argument, yung mga matalino naman, ganito nangyayari, so wag na tayo magmatalino. I mean, that doesn't make sense. Siguro ang problema dyan is matalino yung iba, pero yung puso nila kulang, yung commitment nila kulang, yung character nila kulang. So dapat pareho meron. Meron kang character, meron ka rin capabilities. Then you combine both, no? And nakita natin yung mga ibang candidates, for instance, like Isko Moreno, kahirapan din yung, they came from very humble backgrounds. Pero nakita mo naman si Isko Moreno, in-effort talaga niya na iangat yung sarili niya, mag-aaral sa college, mag-executive courses in the best universities around the world, from Massachusetts to Oxford, diba? So, may effort, diba? Iangat ang sarili. So, you don't want to be a victim of your circumstances. And once you have the opportunity, iangat sarili mo, iangat mo yung sarili mo, no? So yun yung medyo concern ko dun sa, I think, this misconception na, dahil maroon tayong matalinong presidente and hindi naging maayos yung bansa, therefore, masama na magkaroon ng matalinong presidente. Parang, the syllogism is very problematic to me. Very, very, very problematic. Because there are many, many factors that explain why things didn't work with other presidents. But to blame their intelligence or higher education, I think kind of misses the point. But at the same time, I agree. hindi pwede yun lang maging basehan ng leadership. And especially in a country na napaka-unequal katulad ng Pilipinas, kung saan hindi lahat may kakayahan na ipadala yung anak nila sa Oxford or mag-aral sa Ateneo, UP, etc. Unfair din na i-impose mo yung ganitong standards. That's very exclusionary, that's very elitist. Yun din, masasabi ko. And I'm saying that as someone na graduate ng, UP at nagturo sa Ateneo, LaSalle, among others, right? So, I'm telling you, di ba, na I agree with Senator Pacquiao, but to a certain degree, right? I think you need both. You need the calculating mind, managerial skills. You don't necessarily need an Oxford degree for that, right? But some basic training is necessary. Kasi otherwise, magiging dependent ka lang dun sa mga advisors mo. At kung wala kang basic competency and functional literacy sa mga complicated issues, paano masabi kung sinong advisor ang magaling? Paano masabi sinong advisor ang tama? Paano mo ma-assess yan? Diba? It's like, for instance ako, wala akong background sa physics, right? But if mag-aaral ako ng konti ng basic physics, which I have done, and I try to calculate physics, if two scientists are debating, of course, hindi ako scientist level like them, na physicist. But because I have some basic understanding of, let's say, quantum mechanics, Heisenberg theory, etc., we can go with about that, medyo nagigets ko, sinong may mas sense or sinong mas magaling yung mga fina-forward ng ideas. O kung wala kang background, hindi mo alam yung string theory, maano ka kay Michiko Kaku? Anong sinasabi nito? Doon na ako kay Einstein relativity theory or something like that, di ba? So, if you have some basic functional literacy, hindi naman kailangan na physicist level ka, you can kind of understand ang pinag-usapan ng mga science advisors mo doon sa cabinet mo. So, I think the same thing applies in economics and other fields na hindi naman science, but nonetheless, evidence-based area studies, no? So, for instance, in economics, macroeconomic policy, public policy, sana naman yung presidente mo medyo may basic na alam, di ba? Para naman alam niya kung sino advisor ng babola lang at sino advisor may sense at wala. Otherwise, ano maging basehan niya? Ang basehan niya, sino mas cute na advisor, sino mas mabait na advisor. Ay, hindi naman pwedeng ganun, di ba? So, that's why you need some basic skills. Sabi nga ni Bismarck, yung Otto von Bismarck, yung leader ng Germany, the job of a leader is like politics is like making sausages, how to bring different elements together. For you to be able to be the sausage maker, you have to have some basic understanding of the ingredients, right? What's coming in, what's coming out, anong pwedeng combination, paano mo lutuin yun, di ba? How to prepare it. So maybe hindi ka expert in each and every part of it, but if you have some basic functional literacy, you can put all of them together. So anyways, with all due respect, yun po yung partial disagreement ko dun sa position ni Senator Pacquiao. But for me, he's entitled fully to run for the president. And if he has the character and basic managerial skills and competency for which you don't have to have an MBA from some top schools, then so be it. If yun ang talagang tingin ng tao na you're deserving, then so be it. Parang ayaw ko talaga yung smart shaming. Yung parang, nosebleed, purong salita lang yun, matalino, parang ayoko nang ganoon. Because we are in the 21st century, komplikado po yung mga problema natin, hindi pwede bara-bara. Kita naman natin, di ba? Should I go through the list of bara-bara thinking and then kapalpakan, di ba? We can go there. You can read everything. Now, let's go to ISKO. Tinanong kay ISKO yung tinanong ko rin sa kanya, right? Tinanong kay ISKO, yung tinanong din sa kanya, which is, ayan, ako naman yung attack ngayon, no? Kina-question na yung credentials ko. You know what I'm gonna say? The best reflection of whether you made the most out of your education, no matter how humble, no matter kung third world ka, whatever, is your output. At, as someone who does also academic work, feel free to check my H-index. And, so, double digit ang H-index ko na I achieved that in my early 30s. So, yun. It's not the highest in the world, but it's pretty decent, right? So, yun lang. Okay, so, yung iba na gusto magyabang-yabang dyan, ang tanong dito is, diba? Oh, yun. Anyways, balikan natin si ISKO. Si ISKO in fairness, nag-effort siya mag-English, mag-effort. I mean, you see the effort. And I think the effort matters. And I think he improves over time. And, nagbarong si ISKO, ha? Ayan, nakinig sila. Doon sa mga natin, ha? Kay ISKO, ang tanong naman sa kanya yung, parang feeling ko yung approach ni Corina Sanchez or yung highlight na interviews niya was something like, parang pinaportray kang, I don't think that's what she said, but parang ang issue is, ikaw ISKO para kang Duterte Light, diba? Or Duterte 2.0 or whatever you wanna say. At kaya ang tinanong talaga sa kanya isang very sensitive issue is yung war on drugs. At nakita naman natin yung sagot ni ISKO. And in fairness, I can attest consistent siya kasi yun din ang tinanong ko sa kanya at yun din ang sagot niya. Which is, yes, ituloy ko yung war on drugs, but within the four corners of the law, right? Dapat may rule of law. At sinight niya doon sa case ng Manila, no, yung 97% of apprehensions, thank God, did not end in a kind of a tragic non-laban situation, right? But of course, you want to have a situation where 100% yan, no? So ISKO has tried to balance his emphasis on rule of law and at the same time his commitment to having an uncompromising stance on the issue of drugs and all. At of course, galing siya sa hirap, nakita niya yung talagang negative effect ng drugs sa mga komunidad, no? So in fairness, ISKO clarified that ang kanyang stance on drugs, on war on drugs, ay not necessarily a replication of what President Duterte is doing. He's looking at the more improved version, which is in consonance with the rule of law, no? And dun sa ibang interviews na nakita natin, in-emphasize ni ISKO yung importansya ng preventative measures at saka rehabilitation at saka community-based approach. Which in fairness, yun din ang sinabi ng ibang candidates, including the next candidate we're talking about is BBM. Now, to be honest, the BBM one, I paid special attention to because nga no-show siya dun sa presidential forum. So dito kay BBM naman, first of all, you can see that he's more comfortable pag yung setup ng discussion ay yung one-on-one. Parang pansin ko talaga sa kanya, parang mas komportable siya yung face-to-face, one-on-one, in a kind of a homey environment. You could see the body language of BBM, how he looks, how he takes time to express things, whether yung laughter, dismissiveness, or joy, or pride, or comfort. Yes, Corina Sanchez is not Jessica So type of journalist. So you could say she's probably more similar to Tita Boy, and then may mga cooking show part and all. Ay, pinakbet pa eh. Tika Tisuna. Talagang nagluto siya ng pinakbet. Isa sa mga favorite ko yan. But of course, yung gusto ko yung luto ni Lola. Diba? Andiyan ka ba, Lola? Shout out, Lola. Kamusta kay Jan? Alright. Anyway, so, first ko napansin kay BBM, no? Now, actually, he can answer really tough questions, I'm not saying he answered it perfectly. I'm not saying there was good follow-up or not. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying when tough questions are asked, but if he's in an environment where he feels safe, one-on-one, kausap niya yung mga Tito Boy, Corina Sanchez types, he can articulate his ideas pretty okay and pretty confidently, no? So, he was asked very tough questions. So, tingnan mo kay BBM, no? Yung isang tanong sa kanya, ito bang kampanya mo? Is this a campaign of vindication? Na i-prove mo na, hindi, mali lahat ng mga sinasabi nila sa Marcoses, tama po kami. So, ano yung sagot ni BBM? Sagot niya, whatever na gagawin niya. I'm not saying I agree with him, I'm not saying I agree. I'm just saying, ang sinabi ni BBM is that whatever na gagawin ko today or bilang presidente, if ever mananalo siya for the next 6 years, will not change the historical facts about yung ginawa ng tatay niya. Which I agree with. That's true. Nothing now necessarily changes what happened in the past. But of course, there's an issue of repentance, there's issue of recognition, and all. But at least BBM, again, I'm not saying this makes everything perfect, but he recognized that his father was not perfect. He had mistakes, but he also condensed that he did something good, right? So it's not a question to say, oh, the dad was perfect and everything and all. Now, I'm not sure that's what he says when he's in with his own audience and all. Alam ko medyo iba yung usapan doon. But at least when he's in a relatively neutral ground, yun yung stance na. No, na this is not about trying to pretend everything was perfect under his dad. At the same time, if he's gonna run and become the president, this is all about his own merits. No, so which is an interesting argument. Of course, you can argue that well, but he's winning on the merit of his name, right? And the supposed good legacy of his father, right? And therefore, he should also be held accountable or questioned on the negative sides of it. But of course, that will be the argument of the critics, no? Now that's it. Tinanong din sa kanya other issues na I think quite crucial, yung issue ng constitutional change. Kasi yun nga di ba ang sinasabi is pag nanalo si BBM, nanalo si Sara, mamaya pa natin pag-usapan yung conspiracy theory which I think doesn't make sense at all. And manalo si Arroyo, there'll be kind of a Carter-like coalition na magpo-push talaga for constitutional change. Lalong-lalo na if BBM wins with a big mandate, let's say 50-60% of the votes, which is quite unprecedented, then in that situation, right, he could push for constitutional change. Maybe not in the first year, maybe not in the second year, but maybe by the midterms. 2025, siguro pwede tayo mag-move to a new constitution, and from there, anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. And baka hindi talaga 6 years lang, diba? Remember, dun sa isang proposal for constitutional change under President Duterte, diba? One controversial provision there was na pag nagkaroon ng new constitution, magre-reboot, so start from zero na naman yung countdown nung term ni Pangulong Duterte. So let's say, nagkaroon ng constitutional change 2019, by 2020, back to zero again. So, mag 6 years na naman si Duterte, something like that. So, it's possible that they can do a constitutional change kung saan magre-reset yung time, right? Back to zero. So, yung 2-3 years na na-enjoy mo under the previous constitution, hindi makakount doon. And retroactively, you will be given the power to continue what you want on a democratic mandate under a previous constitution, no? I won't be surprised that could be some of the discussions up for grabs. Not to mention, tatanggalin yung term limits talaga. Totally. Like, parang America, yung pwede ka mag-congressman forever yata or something like that, diba? Talagang, all out na, diba? Yung mga ano dyan, dynasty dyan. That's the thing. You may have the best intentions for constitutional change, but the question is, who's gonna oversee that? And the devil is always in the details. Ano ilalagay nila dun sa loob ng mga provisions? Hindi lang yung mga grand, big ideas, no? At yung mga hypotheses about things going happy, whatever. But, ito yung sagot ni BBM, Again, we're talking about the context of interview. Ibang usapan ko ano talagang mangyari, what I think, etc. Kung talagang, he's saying the truth, whatever. But, ang sagot na is, ang priority po natin ngayon is ayusin yung ekonomiya at yung recovery. So, BBM is projecting this image of, let's focus on the most urgent issues and full recovery from pandemic. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung mga napaka-controversial divisive issues, including constitutional change. That was a safe and I would say interesting answer. Right, interesting answer. Now, isa pang interesting na tanong kay BBM ay ito. Tinanong sa kanya, what if ma-disqualify ka after nung election? Sorry, nabubula ako. Maaga ako nagising, nagpaano ako, anyways, medyo pagod tayo, but sabi ko, habol ako dito sa rated meta na to Yung tinanong sa kanya, what if ma-disqualify ka after elections? Ayan, hindi na ako nabubulot. Pwede maging presidente si Sara niyan. And yung sagot niya is very nonchalant, right? Which is, yeah, that's very possible. And I take this thing seriously at inisip ko talaga yan. So hindi siya yung bravado, yung mayabang, talagang hindi tayo ma-disqualify, tamang-tama po tayo. And at the same time, he spin that into his favor to signal confidence in Sara. Na okay, kung ma-disqualify, at least si Sara maging president, confident ako sa kanya, no? Now, I know may mga critics ng BBM and the Duterte administration are coming up with this conspiracy theory that is actually the plan. Let this guy win and then disqualify him, then put, I don't know, Sara there, etc. And I won't be surprised if some Sara supporters may have some ideas also. But, ang take ko dyan is, that's nonsense. The moment BBM wins, tapos na. Bandwagon na sa kanya yan. Lahat ng tignan yung Duterte, he only won 39% of the votes. Boom! PDP laban went from 3 to what? To 300 coalition partners sa Congress. Tignan mo nangyari. Lahat nag-bandwagon sa kanya. If BBM wins with 50-60%, majority of the votes, naku po, the bandwagon will be even bigger. At sa tingin niyo, mga supporters ni Bongbong Marcos, papayag sila, i-disqualify lang siya. At kung ikaw sa commission election, again, I'm not saying this is the case, but if the conspiracy theories that yung commission election will just try to bend to some political conspiracy, which I'm not saying that's the case, well, by the time na panalo si BBM, yun na yung winner. Dun na kayo tataya, diba? If you're a politically motivated actor, you're gonna look at sinong winner, sinong panalo. Kung si BBM na panalo, bandwagon na sa kanya. Diba? Bakit? So, walang sense yung sinasabi na pwede siya i-disqualify pag nanalo. Tapos na ang laban. Kung dapat i-disqualify siya, if you believe he should be disqualified, if my basis for that, ngayon na yung time, hindi later after elections, no? So for me, that completely misses the point, right? And then ano pa bang tinanong kay Bongbong? Marami pa naman ang tinanong sa kanya na basta in general, he seems very comfortable in that kind of format. And I kind of pwede ko makita, medyo nakikita ko anong magiging argument niya at yung strategy niya pagdating sa COMELEC debates. Kasi talagang at the center of the BBM strategy is to project inner confidence na kahit ano itatapon nyo sa akin, paninira lang yan, negative lang yan. Tayo po, chill lang tayo, kampante lang kayo sa akin. Naalala niyo yung yung advertisement niya, yung babangon muli, yung gano'n. Nakita mo yung aura niya, di ba? Yung sobrang relaxed, chill. Maniwala kayo sa akin, put your trust in me, everything will be breezy. Literally breezy, di ba? Meron siyang gano'n. Tapos may mga windmill sa likod, nagawa naman ng Denmark, but at si Ayala yata yung mga nag-ooperate dyan. But anyways, I think yun talagang kanyang central message. So even if abot ito sa debate, presidential debates, he's gonna spin yung attack sa kanya as paninira lang at siya ay isang biktima at isang mabuting tao na talaga gusto lang niya yung kabutihan ng ating bansa. No? That will be the messaging of the BBM. I can really see that's what he's gonna do in the debates. He did something like that similarly dun sa vice presidential debates, but the stakes are way higher now. And now, because yung lead niya ay napakalaki yung lead niya. Although there's a new study, pag-usapan natin, his numbers came down double digit in some of the studies, but it's still very high. It shows a lot of variability. But now BBM is in such a late position. And he's so close to coming back to Malacanang. Imelda can almost smell the scent of Malacanang and the veranda that they had to leave back in the day. That he's gonna be there in this somber, relaxed mode. And sige, atakin niyo ako. Walang problema yan. Paninira lang yan. That's gonna be his position. So kung ikaw ay LENI or ikaw si ISKO and all, you have to make sure you don't come out like the bitter, angry person. You have to come out with a different strategy that says, pa-relax lang yan. Pero sa totoo lang, magaling ba yan? May kakayahan pa yan? So, pag ang attack ay super negative directly, I think kay Marcos, I don't think it's gonna work that well na. I think it might even backfire and even make support for Marcos stronger. So if you're the critic of Marcos or you're yung kalaban ni Marcos or karibal ni Marcos, no? Watch this kind of interviews because it shows you what strategy BBM is gonna put forward. He's gonna be this relaxed, composed guy, smile while they're attacking him, congeniality, confidence, leading ka naman, tas yung mga sagot, very safe, very calibrated. So, yung usual attack na sa mga Marcoses, as valid as it may be, I don't think it will politically work. So, if ikaw ay LENI camp, ikaw ay ISKO camp, other camps, mag-isip kayo ng ibang diskarte. Diba? Because kung ang usapan dito yung legacy ng Marcoses, I don't think it's gonna score as many political points. In fact, it could backfire. But if the issue becomes, anong ginawa mo, ano ambag mo during pandemic, ano talagang basis mo to say meron ka managerial skills to be commander-in-chief, and if you do that in also a composed and self-confident way, feeling ko mas mag-work yan dun sa mga karibal niya. Pero kung yung usual attack lang, ay kayo ay ganito, ganyan, I'm not sure it will work as well. And to be honest, thinking about it again, yung fast talk part ni LENI with Bongbong Marcos, kung saan biglang nag-sports gear siya. It's like, ay, sinungaling yan, ano yan, hindi nagpapakita yan, gano'n. Ito, walang conviction, gano'n. You know, that fired up the base, sure, but I'm not sure it's scoring points with the median majority voters. I don't think it works. You know, if you're LENI camp, you have to make sure you calibrate that approach, no? Na parang as much as you want to fire up your base, you have to make sure you're also reaching out to yung mga hindi pa sila sigurado kay LENI, parang third choice nila si LENI or second choice nila si LENI. Maraming din na never LENI or never Dilao Pinklao. So wala yan. Wala nang chance yan. But meron pa rin yung median voters na iba na pwede pa rin kay LENI pero ayaw nila yung mga attack lang. They're looking for something else, right? They're looking for LENI to talk about her programs, her competence, and also with confidence and all. So, yun nga So, yun talaga napansin ko. If i-analyze mo yung talagang strategy ng BBM camp is that they're gonna put this very confident, self-composed guy there. And they're gonna take the attacks and deflect it in a jiu-jitsu way and say, yeah, this only shows how right I am. This only shows na purong paninira lang yan. That's gonna be the strategy of the Bongbong camp. So you have to come with a different way if you wanna chip away at his lead, no? So dapat maging ibang usapan, and we already discussed, no? Ang one issue that can be raised by other candidates is that what are your hallmarks? Not your father, your hallmarks of competence and managerial skills. Ano yung ginawa mo, hindi yung tatay mo. Ano yung ginawa mo during pandemic and or during all these years in public service to show na you'll be a competent leader, you can handle massive infrastructure projects, no? Yung Exhibit A mo. Because President Duterte when he ran, he said, tignan mo yung Davao, right? Yung pinakamabilis yung processing of business licenses, which is true, ayon dun sa mga World Bank indicators na nakita natin. Medyo mataas yung ease of doing business sa Davao in the Philippines, no, etc. Or tignan mo yung growth rate ng Davao above average, no? So meron siya Exhibit A, no? And this is where I say LENI should also emphasize more, or ISKO for that, emphasize more their own Exhibit A. Ano bang Exhibit A ni ISKO? Given na yan. Alam natin yan. Condominium, yung mga hospital, yung mga ginawa niya sa Manila. Yun, focus ka dyan, di ba? Wag na yung atake yung iba. Tapos yung kay LENI naman, hindi lang yung VP niya, kasi limitado lang budget niya with VP. I'm sure she could have done way more. But if she emphasizes the Naga model more, that Exhibit A, and that's the kind of country she wants, that's the kind of model for the whole country, participatory democracy, then feeling ko mas more chance. And then, of course, PACQUIAO. And